you're in the wrong room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Welcome to the Legacy Branding Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Beauparlant, here to guide you through the journey of selling your business and building a personal brand that leaves a lasting impact. On the show, we'll explore real-life founder stories, expert insights, and actionable strategies to help you navigate the transition, avoid post-sale crisis, and create your impact-driven legacy brand. Whether you're thinking of selling, building to sell, or already on the other side, this podcast is your go-to resource for making your next evolution your best one yet. Let's dive in. Wendi, Mathis held, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. I have to let you know, you are actually the very first guest.
Yay. I love that.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the Legacy Branding Podcast. So let me first start by introducing you to everybody who's listening. So Wendi Mathis Held is the founder and CEO of In the Black Retail, a resource hub dedicated to helping businesses optimize performance and profitability. With over 25 years of experience in the retail industry, Wendi has a proven track record of providing strategies that drive success. Wendi also co-founded True Hero, an Amazon agency that was acquired in 2024, so just this year, and now serves as Senior VP of Strategic Accounts at Channel Key. She's passionate about empowering entrepreneurs to grow, scale, and exit their businesses successfully. Wow, that is impressive, Wendi.
I don't know if it's impressive, but it sounds good. It sounds good coming out of you.
Isn't it always nice to hear other people introduce you and the things that you've accomplished?
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's humbling to think about what we've been able to do and accomplish. Sometimes we forget.
I think that's a common problem with entrepreneurs is we don't actually stop to celebrate our wins. We just keep going. And then it's only when you do pause and you look back and you go, holy crap, look at the things I've done. But as you're going through it, you don't necessarily see it the same way as when you reflect back on it.
I think that's so true. I think that is a common DNA
in all entrepreneurs, everybody I've met anyway. So the podcast is called Legacy Branding. It is all about helping founders successfully exit their business, talk about all the pros and cons, how branding plays a part in that, how founders are creating their legacy around what they're doing, whether it's with their business or what they're doing after. And so I'm really excited to have you here as somebody who's recently exited your business and also started something new so soon after. Also a trait of many entrepreneurs, right? We're goers, we're doers. We're like, we can't sit idle for very long. So I'm really happy to have you here and have this conversation. So I wanted to start by finding out, what was the turning point when you knew it was time to sell your business?
So it's interesting. So I started the business 14 years ago, which is a really long time to own anything, really. If you would talk to Mac Lackey, who is how I actually exited and was the person who encouraged, he's 4 to 6 years is really a good time.
He's definitely going to be on the podcast too.
A good length of time. Yeah, he's amazing, right? But we really started the business as a lifestyle business. It wasn't something that we really felt we could acquire. I came from the space. It was early, right? So we started into it 2010. About in 2019, I had known Mac through another process. Like he had a company called Mountain Khakis. I represented that brand on Amazon as part of True Hero. And I started having a conversation with him about mentoring really early before the DNA program. And we started talking about it. And I said, oh, you can't really exit an agency. And he, no, you can sell a phone book. Like you can sell anything. And so that started the process of, okay, what does it look like to be able to sell? And like, so I really went from having a lifestyle business to creating scale to be able to exit, which is why I'm passionate about it, because I think there's a lot of people that are in that position where they don't really know if they can. And then once they realize that there's something that they could sell, how to really stage it so they can maximize valuation.
Yeah.
And so really for me, it was having that conversation with Mac was my turning point. And then from there on, it was getting the business ready to sell.
What was the process from like that decision, like having the conversation with Mac? Oh, I could actually sell this business, a business that you hadn't thought that you could sell, to actually selling it this year?
I think we would have escalated how many years we were selling if it not been for a pandemic and not to to oversell that piece of it or over talk about that piece of it, but it certainly plays into all of our worlds in some way, shape, or form. Really, the big things were, we always had clean books. I'm a kind of a numbers junkie, but really making sure that we understood where the numbers were, where we needed to get to. Process is not my strength. I'm not an operations person at all. So really like honing in, like again, another DNA of
I'm laughing because I'm like, yeah.
yeah, like we're great visionaries, maybe not great operators, but I had a really great person on their team that was able to step into that operations role and create SOPs, all the different aspects that we have that made us a niche, gave us a little bit of an upsell. And so highlighting those and then documenting it. And so that whole, and then growing it. So to make it worth my time, like what not only my top line needs to be, but obviously what my bottom line needed to be to make it attractive and then being able to craft that story. So it was really getting into that scale over those years, but like operations for sure, growing top line, and then making sure everything was very tight when it came to numbers. Mac always talks about the phone call. If you're ready to sell, somebody would call and give you like the number that made sense. Are you actually ready to walk out the door? And honestly, I wasn't. In 2019, I wasn't prepared for that. But
so you just said something. So you said it takes time to craft that story. So can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, is that definitely. So one of the things that I learned through Exit DNA, and it was talking about we're not going to sell based on EBITDA, right? So it's not just a valuation, just a multiplier of EBITDA. And so being able to tell the story of what it looked like, hey, if you purchase me, and being able to say, here's the things that set us apart. Here's our unique factors. Here's like the reason that we do it a little bit differently. There's a ton of Amazon agencies. I've been doing it for a really long time. Like 2010 was really early, but then how we craft that story. So I spent a lot of time on branding for sure. So people knew who we were. I wish I would have known you before because like you would have really helped me do that. So next company. We'll work with Laura on the branding piece of it. And so being able to really, I understand like how important that piece was. And then talking about, it's hard when you're in the business and to say, hey, my expertise is forecasting and we've created this forecasting model and this process. To me, that was just day to day, but trying to figure out like how we were set apart and having lots of conversations. So really crafting the story of here's where my niche is, here's who I am. And if I were to partner with somebody like you, Channel Key, here's where you could take it. And that automatically shows them the story of being able to increase valuation. And so they can get really excited about what they have that's unique to them, that can take what's unique for your company that you're trying to sell and be able to maximize that valuation. It's pretty impressive what we were able to do from a valuation standpoint. And Channel Key is still really stoked about their purchase.
It's a win for everybody then, right? Everybody wins.
It really is. Right.
I think what's
really
so interesting about what you said and something that I've been really trying to share with so many founders looking to sell is that the brand is a really important piece in the sales process that they don't always think about. It's usually the numbers or the books or those SOPs, the operations. But if you've got a brand that is distinguished, that's differentiated, that's clear on what it does, who it serves, it's got brand recognition, it's not a hot mess, it's not inconsistent, like all of these factors help make the business sellable. Because when somebody comes and they want to buy you, or you have somebody, if you work with an M&A firm or somebody like that, how are they pitching your business to potential buyers? And if they don't know how to talk about your business and what makes you unique and different, how are they going to be able to sell it to the right buyer?
So I think it's also really interesting, just pulling out what you said. It's one of the reasons I always wanted to be in the room is that no one is going to sell your business the way you can sell your business. I can craft that story for our broker, for our M&A. I had a really great team that helped me get everything across the line and protect me and our business, our family. But really, no one can sell the company like you can sell your own company. No one can tell the story like you can tell the story. And no one can feel the passion like the founder.
100%. So what would you say in that process were some of the highs and lows on an emotional roller coaster level of selling something you've built? Like you just said it, no one's going to care as much, be able to sell the business as much, or be as passionate about the business as you are. So can you share some of those emotional highs and lows?
So I come from real estate. I've done real estate since I was 18. I come from a real estate family. And so I think about how you're looking at your house and you're trying to market your house and it's such an emotional attachment if it's your own personal home and you think it should be this price and it's really the market saying it's this price. So when we first went to market, I was almost offended by the valuations that came out. And I had talked with a broker, which is actually Robert Taylor. He's part of Bath Butter too. And we had this whole conversation. And so, okay, here's the number I want to get to and then build. And like I said, we started talking about in 2019, then pandemic. We brought on a really big client right at that time, which was great for the top line revenue. But it was just one of those things where we're sitting here and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get to this number so we can sell it at the price that made sense for me to exit the business. And so I think that was a low at first. You're like, oh my gosh, now I have to wait. I have all this time. It's going to take me 2 years to get to that point. And so that was tough. And it's very vulnerable, right? Because now if you have a family business, which we did, you're showing everything. You have to show all of your numbers and you show all of your mistakes and all of your failures, as well as your successes, of course, right? But you are literally like, here's all my numbers. And they don't.
It's like you're standing naked in front of them.
Right.
Being scrutinized.
Literally, that's the feeling. And being scrutinized,
Sounds like
being
so
really
much
judged.
fun.
And they're not going to. Yeah. And they're not going to tell you like, oh, you did so good because then so you're sitting there and at some point you get to see their numbers too, but it's still such a smaller view of what I think they're seeing everything. They're looking at your taxes and their financials. And so that was really hard to get to overcome at first. Like I was very private about all the things as my company. I didn't have to share anything with anybody. So that was difficult and a difficult obstacle. But then once you've shown it to a few people and you have some people that are interested, you're like, yeah, look what I built. Like, and then you're starting to, again, crafting that story about, yeah, we had one really tough year. It's post-pandemic, but look what we did and like where we're projecting to go. And you're starting to see that. And that starts getting really fun. We were really close to a deal at the end of 2022 and we walked away. And best decision ever was walking away. And I'm still friends with that person. They're a lovely person, but it just became this terrible fit. So I think not just getting past, here's the number, but now is it a good cultural fit? If you were in a position like I am, where I have to stay on for that earnout, which is very typical of agencies and any service company. That's not true for everybody, but I knew that was going to be part of what I was going to do.
And I've heard some horror stories from people who've had to stay on for their buyout and they're like, it is terrible culturally. It's just not a good fit for anybody. And it's years, typically.
It's years. So I took a little bit less money and I have a really good cultural fit. Yeah. So I had heard a statistic, whether it's true or not, but I heard it and somebody had said that only 14% of people complete their entire earnout.
Interesting. So what happens then? So if you don't complete your earnout, you just don't get the balance.
You don't get the balance unless you can negotiate out of it. But no, pretty much if you don't complete it, then you're done. I'm in such a good place because I really love the company that I sold to. I was very purposeful about it. We courted, if you will, for 9 months. So I got to really know him. We became colleagues, shared some mutual issues with each other, like as far as, hey, can you help me on this account? What's your advice on this? We could get to see how each other's brains worked. People are really important to both of us. So our teams were really important. I think that, no, I don't think, I know that finding the cultural fit is worth some money. So it was worth it for us to take a little bit less to be able to have that. Really, like the vision is the same, our morals are the same, our cultural is the same, which you're still merging because they took our whole team. So all of True Hero came. I think there was only a couple of people that we couldn't take over. I think there was 2 out of our 25 people. Our teams are now integrated. And I think for an integration of 2 companies, it's pretty darn good. I think we've done a pretty darn good job. And we're 9 months in.
So
now.
What was like the red flags that you noticed? So you walked away from this other opportunity that would have meant more money. Can you share a little bit about, was it a red flag? Was there something said or done, or how did that go? So that maybe another founder who's in that experience, maybe they're not getting the feels, but they don't really know what to look for.
Yeah, It's a good question. So we were really close into it. We did a lot of conversations. I think it's like dating. So everybody's putting their best foot forward. And then when we sat down to start doing the negotiation, we were with attorneys, and you're sitting there and you're listening to how they negotiate, and you're listening to how they talk and how they treat people. Again, great people, not my culture. And so really saying, can you visualize yourself working for this person? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the boss, right? I'm no longer the CEO. So can I respect this human enough to take direction? And is that person strong enough to be able to listen to some pushback as well? Do we have a mutual respect on how we do business together? And I couldn't get there. In that moment, I started seeing, I don't want to say true colors, but really true colors, like really like, how are you going to talk to people and how are you going to treat my team? I'm watching how you're treating the people at this table. And if you're going to treat them like that, then I'm not sure if I trust you with my team or trust you with my clients, because it's not the way that I would do that. I stopped the conversations right there. And I was like, I know we're really far into this process. I've learned a ton, but this is not something that I can subject my team and clients to. This is not the direction for me personally.
It's like walking away at the altar, right? Like you've gotten to the wedding,
really,
you've got the dress,
really
you've
was
paid
kind of like
all
that.
this money. If you think about that, and somebody to have the guts to literally on the day of a wedding go, yeah, I can't do this, even though it's probably the hardest thing.
It's so important though. I didn't see any of that leading into it. And when we went to the next process, I really formulated a team. Or before, I just had like my internal team. I had my ops person, I had my accountant, I had my attorney, but no one else was really in the room with me. And when we went through this with Channel Key, I had a lot more advisors and people involved to ask these right questions. And this comes back into, and I have told Mac this, I didn't tap into him as much as I should have during that process the first time. And I think I would have got there quicker had I not been like, no, I got this. Like, I'm great at negotiating. I know how to do this.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, now you've exited, you've got this advisory position with Channel Key, but you've also built a new business, or you're in the process of that. So in the Black retail.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think a lot of founders struggle with what's next. I've spoken with and worked with a lot of them that kind of have an existential crisis after they sell, because they're like, who am I now? And what am I going to do next? And there can often be quite a long lull in there where they're doing that self-discovery. So how did you know so quickly after exiting what this next thing would be that you were going to do?
So I do think it's worth taking a beat and really thinking about what that means, because it is a bit of an identity crisis. I had definitely a big pause and identity crisis, and I have a podcast and I have this consulting, but I have stepped back a little bit from it to take a breath and say, what does it really look like? And I tried a couple of things and I was like, I really don't love that. I had always have done, as part of True Hero, we've always done some kind of coaching consulting. So a little bit of both. So I am personally have learned through this last 9 months that I like to coach, or I like to be all in and dig into the whole thing. I don't like that in between stage, but it took me a minute to get there. Honestly, I have a coach, Dave Newell, and he does this, and it's been really great to figure out what that means. Although I jumped right into In the Black, I have been figuring it out. So as part of True Hero, I had some clients that I did not allow to be part of acquisition. And so I took those clients, and that's been great. And then I have a little warehouse in Indiana, and those are my clients. So built this thing and trying to figure out what I want to do. For me, I knew that I didn't want to just be Amazon only. I wanted to stop pigeonholing me, but I have all this years of experience of go to market, of building businesses. Like, I've built brands from not just on Amazon, but REIs and all Nordstrom's, all the retail. I really like that part. And so I am sitting on an advisory board on one of Mac's companies. So that's something new that I'm really enjoying being able to dig in. So what I want to do within the Black is exactly how you introduced me, is to look at businesses, like dig in. My new definition of myself would be a fractional growth strategist versus a fractional CEO or a fractional CEO or a fractional CFO.
And it sounds like you'd already started this before you exited. And that is something that I'm really trying to encourage founders to start working on their personal brand before they exit. Because first of all, your personal brand as a founder can actually help grow your business. And if you've got something already that you're doing that encompasses your business, but other aspects of who you are and what you do, it's that much easier afterwards to step into something, even if you don't know the what. I always tell my clients, I'm like, you don't need to know what you're doing, but you need to know the impact you want to create and maybe why you're going to do something. And then you
I love
reverse
that.
engineer it. So I help them build their messaging and their language so that they're like, I know what I'm striving for. And so it helps with decision making. So no matter what they end up doing after they sell, that they have clarity on the impact they want to make, the contribution they want to create, and they're driven by that reason why or that mission, whatever the language is that you want to use. And I think that it sounds like you had already somewhat started that, which made that transition, even though you took that beat and you did that self-reflection to really understand what part of the process do I really love.
Yeah. No, that's true. And it was never just a complete step back. It's building the
Yep.
plane a little bit while you're flying it, but keeping it under the radar. We're not like exploding. We're not doing marketing. We're not paying for marketing. We're not doing any of that right now. It's really taking and saying, here's what we want to build. And candidly, I have to start with the one big thing that I learned is I want to start with having an ops person out of the gate because that will make exiting way easier and way faster when we get there. And so I think that was a big takeaway from my
Yeah.
prior company.
So would you say you feel more aligned with your values and your vision now in this new chapter?
Yes, it's also you always from any experience, right? Here's what I liked about this, is what I was really good at. Here's what didn't really work, what I'm not going to do again. For years I never had a mentor and I didn't have a group of really smart people. For years I was the smartest person in the room, which means I was in the
Yeah.
wrong room. Right? You're in the wrong room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If
Yeah.
you're always the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong rooms. And like almost 2 years, I joined Baby Bathwater. I am maybe the dumbest person in the room now, which is fantastic. I'm learning so much. It's amazing. Having a mentor, sitting on advisory boards, like really getting stretched, I think has also broadened what I'm going to do within the
Yeah.
Black because I just have more visibility to what other things that are going on. And I think as a founder and then you exit, you're like, okay, is that it for me? But being able to be around people who have either done it multiple times or in the process of it and really being challenged. I was just at a Baby Bathwater event and it's just getting so stretched and pushed and pulled. And having people don't say no to us very often as entrepreneurs, founders, like we don't have a lot of people that will get the more you grow, the less people will get you no. It's not the case anymore. I have a lot of people that are like, no, or that's a terrible idea and really pushing and shoving. So I think that's really important. The more you grow and the more you do, the more you need to be around people who will
Absolutely. I've
challenge you.
definitely felt the difference in the communities I'm a part of, the Baby Bathwater events that you and I have met at and a few others that sometimes I do feel out of my league. But I'm like, no, that means this is exactly where I need to be. Because when you're leading a business, you're
Yeah.
always the one who's making the decisions, who's, as you said, sometimes the smartest in the room or the one who's got the most skin in the game. But ultimately, you need to push yourself in so many different ways and being around other entrepreneurs who will maybe call you out on your bullshit or who will challenge you or doing things
Yeah.
like being on an advisory board or making you see things in a different way or see something that you didn't even think was possible. That's important.
Yeah. It's been a really fun beginning
Yeah.
of the next chapter. I'm enjoying the pushing and shoving that I'm getting,
Yeah.
eye-opening experiences. So
Okay,
I'm loving chapter
amazing.
2.
Okay, I have 2 questions that I want to ask you to wrap this up. So, what advice would you give to founders looking to sell their business?
So always my plug will be to hire somebody or be in a room with somebody like Matt, having an advisory board, if you will. So tax for sure. That was a big, I did it, but I got it really late. And there was things that I could have done better had I done that. So definitely having a team of experts that are M&A experts, not just general counsel. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I would have is surround yourself with a good team and have them
Yeah,
like on
love
call.
it. And then the last question, this podcast is called Legacy Branding, and I'm all about legacy, mine and yours, and everyone listening. So what does legacy mean to you, and how are you building yours?
That's a tough question. It's a beautiful question. It's a tough question. So to me, it means what impact am I going to leave behind? As female entrepreneurs, and there's more and more of us, right? I think it's really important to have that impact be that we can do it too, and not to shy away from it and to step up. I think that's really important. And to be an example, to turn around and pull somebody up. So for me, legacy is that really like making an impact that is meaningful so somebody else can make an impact that's meaningful and continue to pull each other up, male or female. But there's few of us. There's fewer females than there are men still. And I think there's just so much opportunity for us wicked smart women to be an example.
And I know you're a mom of a boy and I'm a mom of boys. And for me, part of what I'm doing is modeling what it's like to be a powerful woman and for them to believe in me and support me and see that having powerful women in your life is a good thing. Because I think often there's a fear of powerful women. And that is also part of my legacy, is to show my boys that women can do anything and men can be our biggest cheerleaders and be right there with us, and that they can be that too.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's true. I think that, and I think they see that. I think it makes a difference. So I love that. That's a good one.
My boys actually just got to see me speak on stage for the first time a few months ago. That was a beautiful moment.
But they were so proud. Proud of their mama. Yeah,
Wendi,
for sure.
This has been amazing. Thank you for being my very first guest on the Legacy Branding Podcast. Thank you for your amazing insights, for sharing your story. And I can't wait to see you in person again, hopefully very soon.
Same. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning into the Legacy Branding Podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired and empowered you on your journey to building a brand that truly matters. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other founders who you think would benefit from listening. And if you're ready to take the next step in building your legacy brand, visit our website, labcreative.ca, to learn more and book a call. Don't forget to join us next time for more conversations that will help you navigate your transition and create your legacy. Thanks for tuning into the Legacy Branding Podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired and empowered you on your journey to building a brand that truly matters. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other founders who you think would benefit from listening. And if you're ready to take the next step in building your legacy brand, visit our website, labcreative.ca, to learn more and book a call. Don't forget to join us next time for more conversations that will help you navigate your transition and create your legacy. Until then, I'm Laura Beauparlant. Until then, I'm Laura Beauparlant.